I have a dream that little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. That is a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during his famous I Have a Dream speech. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. played a key role in the civil rights movement, and his contributions to the movement still live on today. Martin Luther King Jr. was the leader of the civil rights movement in the 1960s. He was a peaceful activist who organized and led numerous marches and protests, including the famous March on Washington. And according to NPS.gov, an estimated 250,000 people attended the March on Washington on August 28, 1963. Dr. King's childhood was a normal, happy upbringing, where he and his siblings learned to play the piano from their mother, and they were guided by the spiritual teachings from their father and grandfather. But the family was quickly schooled on the harsh reality of racial segregation in the South. He was born on January 15th, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, where he, his mother, 2 siblings, and his grandparents lived. He was the son of a Baptist minister, which he later became, and according to drmartinlutherking.net, for the first 5 years of his life, his name was Michael King, which then his name was later changed to Martin Luther King Jr. at the age of 5. Dr. King's education began at an early age. He skipped his first and last years of high school, and he attended college at just 15 years old. Dr. King graduated from Morehouse University in 1948. After that, he attended Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania, and according to Britannica.org, he earned his PhD on theology from Boston University in 1955. Now that we discussed his childhood and early life, we will now talk about his contributions to the civil rights movement while he was alive. Dr. King organized a number of marches and protests, and he was a key figure in the civil rights movement in the U.S. According to castle.edu, he led the bus boycott in 1955 that was sparked by Rosa Parks. He helped form the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in 1957, which is an organization that works for civil rights, and he is the leader of the entire civil rights movement in the 1960s that called for working out conflicts with kindness and love as opposed to hate and violence. He also led multiple lunch counter sit-ins where he and other Black and white Americans demanded equal treatment in restaurants for all races. Dr. King's nonviolent peaceful demonstrations proved to the world that action without violence can be successful. And the standard has been set for all nations to treat everyone equally, regardless of skin color, because of the work of Dr. King. Now that we discussed his contributions while he was alive, we will now talk about his contributions to the civil rights movement after his death. Even after his death, the work of Dr. King still lives on because of his contribution to the people and to the civil rights movement. It has also helped the rest of the world's equality problems. Because of Dr. King, it is no longer legal in the U.S. to segregate or discriminate based on skin color. The assassination of Dr. King led to an outpouring of anger among Black Americans, as well as a period of national mourning that helped speed the way for an equal housing bill that will be the last significant achievement of the civil rights era. However, today, with the Black Lives Matter movement going on, Dr. King would be in support for the movement, but he would not support the violent protest and vandalism. He would continue to preach peace, love, and equality for all races. I hope the information about Dr. King and his contributions to the civil rights movement has been successfully brought to you. In conclusion, Dr. King worked hard to bring greater equality to America and to ensure civil rights for all people, regardless of race. Notably, he brought publicity to major civil rights activities, emphasizing the importance of nonviolent protests. Thank you.